When you're 19, you're a little kid, okay? Now, if you're 22, a 19-year-old's not a kid to you, okay? I'm 29. A 19-year-old might as well be a 15-year-old to me. It's all the fucking same, dude. Don't give me this fucking, just because of some legal age of consent, whatever. Nerdy college, attitude vibe, anime fucking people. That's just my world.
That make them younger and younger.
I don't know how you want me to describe it. The people that are the legal lawyer people or whatever. I don't know what the fuck. They're a lot of the, yeah.
I should tell this because I'm gonna get fucking arrested. We went to this channel with this fucking, this kid was 8 years old. And he was fucking broing out with everybody in this chat. For whatever fucking reason, this kid decides to fucking take his pants off and fucking wiggle his 8-year-old dick on screen. We were looking at an 8-year-old dick on the fucking screen. And his fucking brother, we called him Captain Push-Ups, would come in the room. And this guy was fucking 14 years old. He had his shirt off and he was like this. Watching the stream the entire time and shit. Oh my god.
Stephen Kenneth Destiny Bennell is an internet sex criminal boasting one of the largest political entertainment fandoms in the English-speaking online world. Since coming to mainstream prominence in the mid to late 2010s, Destiny's self-admitted acts of pedophilia, pedophile rights activism, sexual harassment, sexual assault, and non-consensual recording and sharing of pornography have been thoroughly documented. Despite this, Destiny has never been punished or even thoroughly investigated by the authorities for his crimes, and even large channels with outspokenly hostile views toward him and or these sort of acts seem reticent to pursue coverage against him past a few light condemnations. This has never been as evident as with the Destiny revenge porn scandal, a two-stage leak of Destiny's DMs with a potentially underage girl going by Rose. For over a year between 2022 and 2023, Destiny would engage in pedophile roleplay with Rose, non-consensually share individual pornographic videos of himself, his wife, and other men and women with Rose, and brag about upcoming sexual trysts. Since knowledge of the leaks went mainstream in January of 2025, a number of other individuals have identified themselves in the leaks and accused Destiny of recording them without their permission. But if you've been following this scandal only casually, you may have heard some unfamiliar and possibly shocking new points in that previous paragraph. That's because the initial coverage of this situation was plagued by malfeasance, cover-ups, and the petty intrigues of people whose first concern was how much clout they could suck out of the situation.
Extortion, Florida law.
Enter Noah Driver. Styled President Sunday after his eponymous YouTube channel, on January 20th, 2025, President Sunday released Exposing the Destiny Abuse Machine to his YouTube channel, the first video essay on the Destiny revenge porn scandal released for mainstream audiences. This video, and its partner release, Destiny Predator Unmasked, from Beckett of the Cope and Seethe YouTube channel, have since been panned or intentionally ignored by the greater YouTube community. They are so badly done that the target of the videos, Destiny, is now using their content as evidence in his defense against a lawsuit from Pixie, Destiny's victim. Sunday and Beckett's videos, without so much as a shred of evidence, directly accuse Pixie of blackmailing Destiny and accepting hush money without regard for his other victims. Destiny has since acknowledged Sunday for being one of the few people to also see the extortion angle, and Destiny has since leveraged his audience to spread this lie around to discredit and abuse Pixie. Her being forced to defend herself after being lied about by President Sunday and Beckett has also been raised as a defense by Destiny. Since then, there's been some blowback against these two complete failures, but nowhere near what a reasonable person would say is enough. Beckett and Sunday have largely been insulated from the worst effects of what should have been a career-ending blunder by what's known as the CC, or commentary community, both through softball favorable coverage by smaller streamers and getting no coverage, or shrugs, essentially, from larger creators. Many of the same creators, in fact, who had cozied up to Destiny over the past couple years and since the January 20th video, have slowly rewritten history on just how close they were to a notorious sex criminal with a past every last one of them were completely aware of from the start. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a timeline of the leaks and the production of the January 20th videos from when the leaks started up to and after the release of the videos. This is the best way to show you what resources President Sunday and Beckett had access to in making their videos, what they didn't make use of even though they probably should have, and why all this indicates a much darker issue in the rotten core of the commentary community. Please note before we begin that for the sake of a clear and accurate timeline, I've done my best to convert every given time where the time zone was apparent to American Eastern Standard Time, which is the time zone that I, Pixie, and Destiny all live in, and will give you the best understanding of the times of day when the most important events were happening. So, when you see screenshots that don't match the time I'm saying, that's why.
But they were trying to call you a pedo yesterday.
So, some kids are really
They
hot.
dug in deep.
Oh.
It happened in the same day that I was getting accused of wanting to kill babies, like wanting to snipe them or whatever. Fucking Israel.
Some babies are really annoying.
But it's like, how is it that we're both aligned then? If like you want to fucking rape the kids and I want to kill them?
I'm a necrophiliac
Okay,
pedophile.
that's the holy fucking sentence.
After you kill them, I have my way with them.
Jesus.
There are 3 persistent inaccuracies regarding what I'll call the solo Destiny leaks going forward. First, that Destiny leaked an entire folder of pornography, suggesting, of course, that the pornography leaks that reach the internet equate to some rough whole of the possible material. Second, that Rose received all the leaks at once, or after only a brief time together. The third, and most important inaccuracy, is that the leaks originated on the internet boogeyman site, Kiwi Farms.
This recently culminated on November 29th of 2024, when an anonymous Discord and Kiwi Farms user going by the name SoloTinyLeaks published a large repository of private messages and pornographic images and videos of Destiny with various men and women to Discord and Kiwi Farms, recordings that Destiny had shared to strangers without the consent of the people in them.
While the stated origin date of the leaks and other coverage of the solo Destiny leaks is November 29th, 2024, that's simply the date when Pixie's video, and a slew of others, was mass leaked to Kiwi Farms by SoloTinyLeaks. SoloTinyLeaks, however, is a burner account name with a stated purpose in the name itself. Leaks, obviously, means the account is for leaks. Tiny is the derogatory nickname given to Destiny, 5'8" in real life, by his detractors and some fans as a shortening of Destiny, which leaves, of course, Solo, the leaker's Discord username, which Kiwi Farms users were talking about as far back as November 20th, 2024, sharing screenshots of Solo talking about not wanting to send Destiny's gay sex tape to Queeman. We also see President Sunday gearing up to send the leaks about Destiny's relationship with conservative pundit Lauren Southern to paleo-Christian ultra-misogynist Andrew Wilson, known in online circles as Big Papa Fascist, specifically to provide Wilson with harassment material against Southern. On November 20th, 2024, at 11:02 p.m., Wilson tweets, Dean Withers, a liberal political streamer, version of virtue, along with screenshots of Destiny and Rose's DMs where Destiny talks about surreptitiously inserting an anal sex toy on stream, dated from July of 2022. Until the massive leaks of the 29th, Solo's activity is strictly a matter of screenshots on the Kiwi Farms platform, frequently speaking with or corresponding to President Sunday. Solo confirms an export of 4,919 messages and a UTC timecode, which causes speculation both about the content of the leaks and Solo's identity. While hacker has been used repeatedly to describe Solo's disposition and access to files, Solo's own story and limited overall access to anything past the Rose account suggests Solo merely has some degree of login credentials for the Rose account used to speak with Destiny. Speculation on Kiwi Farms and elsewhere suggests Solo is either Rose herself or Rose's ex-boyfriend and possible pornographer, or even internet pimp. But up until the writing of this script, there is no concrete evidence of Solo's true identity. Generally, the tenor of conversation on Kiwi Farms at this time is that Destiny is and always has been a sexual degenerate. Maybe more stuff will drop, and his mopey, love-struck pining over Lauren Southern, shared with Rose via screenshots of his own conversations with Southern, are boring and cringe. Also that his sexual conversations with Rose are cringe, and everybody really wants to know who Rose is. But the most interesting post to me is this one from Blav, one of Kiwi Farms' biggest Destiny ops and the person who would eventually out Pixie during the November 29th leak drop. On November 22nd, 2024, Blav shares a message from the initial run of Solo leaks showing a message sent on October 17th, 2022 at 1:02 a.m. Destiny writes to Rose that he has a secret hookup tomorrow at 5, I think, in Austin, and that he's doing some change my mind things at 2 of the schools there. Rose asks secret, and Destiny responds top secret, lol. A quick search of Destiny's name relative to that date reveals the video Wokeness Has Gone Too Far, Change My Mind, set up by the Bridge, Texas, USA chapter.
There is this liberal orthodoxy that's being enforced within academia or whatever.
Progressive orthodoxy.
Oh, okay. Aren't you a progressive yourself?
Yes. But I don't enforce the progressive orthodoxy. That's why I'm here at the University of Texas talking to kids.
But are you sure that that's really the progressive orthodoxy?
The largest and first of the debate conversations in this video is between Destiny and Straighterade, or Aaron, the woman who serves as nearly the entirety of President Sunday and Beckett's information in the January 20th Destiny hit pieces. In this video from October 2022, Destiny and Straighterade have such a clearly familiar rapport that notable Destiny chatter Jew Stalker, stylized JSTLK, suggests using Straighterade as a replacement for Lav, one of the many prominent members of Destiny's community he's had sex with and then wrote a discrediting manifesto about. It should be said that Straighterade, a relative unknown at this point, must have done amazingly that day, because just a year later she was appearing on the Whatever podcast, which can best be described as a pro-misogyny, OnlyFans, girl humiliation fetish advertising roundtable. A lot of Destiny's sex partners, including his wife and Destiny himself, have appeared on that podcast, and notably, on October 24th, 2023, Straighterade admits to dating Lycan, Destiny's personal chef who lived with him in his Miami, Florida apartment.
We met through me just streaming. He's actually in Destiny's community. Hit me up.
Is he also a streamer?
Yeah.
Would I know his name? Is he
Small. No.
YouTube
No.
guy?
Small.
Twitch?
Twitch. His name
Kick.
is Twitch Kick. He's
Chatterbait?
No, not
Okay.
yet. No
In the
OnlyFans
works.
yet either.
In the
Yes,
works.
that's
Okay.
next. His name is his @, is Lycan Cooks, and he does like gaming, and he's gonna start doing like cooking content. So
It's Captain?
Lycan Cooks.
Straighterade's leaked correspondence with Destiny and Pixie will form the crux of the investigations to come, but essentially none of this context was provided in Beckett and Sunday's hit pieces, leaving Straighterade to be simply framed as Pixie's friend. Solo speaks with Destiny an indeterminate number of times before the big leak on the 29th. The tenor and content of the conversations essentially is to unnerve Destiny ahead of the leak, and, according to Solo, get him to invite Solo onto his program in order to prevent the eventual leaks. Solo later admits this is a lie to just maximize the impact of the leaks and just watch Destiny freak out as they happen live, but Destiny balks at the request. Solo also informs Destiny on the 24th at 2:25 a.m. that Rose was underage at the start of their interactions. Destiny replies that she told him otherwise, but I've seen no actual proof he's ever requested and received proof of Rose's age, despite engaging with her sexually for over a year and even engaging in age play with her, as shown in the leaks. So, even if she lied at some point, there is a window where Destiny asked her to roleplay pedophilia with him, and she did so, while possibly still being an actual minor. Rose also apparently sent videos to Destiny which, if she was underage, would constitute international transmissions of child pornography. None of these videos were leaked in the Kiwi Farms page, as Solo wanted to maintain strict OPSEC around Rose's identity and his own. If this is the case, then Destiny was in contact with a child pornographer, and in the interim between November 24th, 2024 and now, has done nothing I can find to ensure that isn't the case. It should also be noted that in the leaked screenshots, Solo has familiarity with Queeman's community, seems to live in the same time zone, and his early leaks into that community for some reason rarely if ever factor into discussions of the leaks themselves, leaving Kiwi Farms to take the brunt of the accusations for hosting the content.
The real scoop is
Traffic
that
from
modern
Maine or
commentary was literally built off of child slave labor. It's real. Like, that's not a joke. Every big YouTuber from like 2017, 2018 who were making video essays predominantly hired children who weren't old enough to have.
That
I
is
really wish I
absolutely
could go
true.
back to that time, because now you just can't do that. Like
You
I was,
can't do that
I was
anymore,
of
no.
age by the time you couldn't get away with it. But there was a time
I was
when
the
you
only one
could.
asking questions. I'm like, this isn't gonna go bad, is it? Like.
SoloTinyLeaks' first leaks to Kiwi Farms come at 9:33 a.m. November 29th, 2024. They are screenshots of DMs between himself and President Sunday asking, "Is this stuff public yet? Not sure if it's of any interest to you guys. I only sent to a few streamers." The screenshots would be from 9:57 p.m. EST or around 6:57 p.m. in Sunday's time zone, but again, no date is provided. In these DMs, Sunday asks if there is any more material and suggests anything Solo says to Destiny could be used to discredit him or the screenshots. The conversation follows a path of Sunday trying to find conversations, dates, times, etc. to connect Destiny to any reputationally damaging information. This leads to Solo finding some evidence of possible nudes exchange between Destiny and neo-Nazi Nick Fuentes, which Sunday suggests Solo should only post censored, but asks to be sent unedited. Solo confirms Destiny shared DMs between himself and Fuentes with Rose, and this pivots the conversation into Sunday asking if Solo is Rose, which is an explanation for Solo's identity Sunday tends to be in the minority in. Solo says he's not Rose and can't discuss her identity, says he's Russian so he doesn't care about the legality of this, a statement he'll later recant, and they finally come to Sunday's leak wish list. Sunday asks for everything pertaining to Fuentes, Lauren Southern, etc. Emphasis on big-name figures with political significance. Maybe Brianna Wu, although I don't really give a shit about her. In additional messages, this list expands to Tim Pool, Lauren Chen, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, offered by Solo, Candace Owens, Max Carson, aka Mr. Girl, Dan Saltman, also offered by Solo, Hassan Piker, Jew Stalker, Vosh, and Chud Logic. The messages end with Solo offering to also send content on ABBA of ABBA and Preach, before flashbanging Sunday with an uncensored image of a naked black man shot from the floor up. Sunday responds, "I think our conversation is over," at the end of the messages clipped by Solo, but the tenor of his first post suggests he sent just such information to Sunday and other streamers. By the time these messages were shared to Kiwi Farms, the purported images of Destiny performing oral sex on Nick Fuentes had been spread around the internet. Fuentes would later claim the images were not of him, and the closest thing I've found to any proof is the literal, unevidenced suggestion that it is Fuentes raised in this DM exchange between Solo and Sunday. At 2:21 p.m., November 29th, SoloTinyLeaks asks, "What exactly can I leak here? I want to dump everything." At 4:53 p.m., SoloTinyLeaks drops a message with the text, "It's about to be a very white Christmas," and around 28 apparently unspoilered videos providing a suicide risk-inducing glimpse into Destiny's sex life, as well as a text file of the breakup letter between Lauren Southern and Destiny. This post has since been modified by Kiwi Farm staff, removing the publicly accessible links to the hosted files and providing their reasoning. It boils down to, essentially, they'll remove direct access to the links without a registered account out of respect for the safety and privacy of the victims, but will maintain overall access to the hosted files out of the obvious and necessary public interest. To quote Kiwi Farms owner-operator Joshua Moon in summation, "We are sorry for those who have been negatively impacted by what appears to be a reckless disregard for the privacy and mental well-being of innocent people by a person with an inordinate amount of influence and wealth. Anyone attempting to assert that the Kiwi Farms is the problem and not the individuals who caused this breach of trust is perhaps hoping to divert attention and culpability for actions which they are solely responsible for." Regardless of how you feel about Kiwi Farms, this is substantially accurate and very much the case, and I really want to hammer this point home. Solo is the origin point of the leaks, not Kiwi Farms, and shutting down or even removing Kiwi Farms' hosted files will not in any way remove them permanently from the internet. Solo started his leaks on Queeman's Discord server, and in his own message suggested he sent this full package of leaked messages and pornography to a non-specific number of streamers, President Sunday included, who very likely still have these files stored somewhere. We'll get to that later, but for now, I want to focus on the immediate aftermath of the leaks. By 5:31 p.m., Kiwi Farms user Blav, now banned, that's why his username is red and struck through, asks, "Is that Pixie sucking his dick?" At 5:40 p.m., Blav confirms Pixie's presence in the video by comparing moles on Pixie's shoulder to the girl in the video, permanently changing the course of Pixie's life from that point onward. Just over an hour after Pixie is confirmed in the video, Sunday reaches out to Straighteraid, Pixie's friend, who is also, I will remind you, a content creator herself, a guest on misogynist podcasts where Pixie also appears, and Destiny's live-in cook's girlfriend. All things she became, by the way, after Destiny had a top-secret sexual rendezvous with someone in Austin the same day he had his first on-screen conversation with Straighteraid at the University of Texas, Austin. Sunday messages Straighteraid at 6:48 p.m. on the night of November 29th. So, I don't know if you're following this, but someone dumped all of the sex tapes Destiny leaked on Kiwi Farms. I didn't look, but people saying Pixie in one. Maybe check on her and make sure she's okay. These DM screenshots come generally from Sunday himself, by the way, largely obtained through the Cope and Seethe video dropped January 20th, 2025. Straighterade immediately responds, "Oh God, we'll see what's up." Sunday says it's a lot, and Straighterade comes back at 7:11 p.m. after looking into the leaks, suggesting she needs some advice on how to break the news to Pixie. In America, the major family holiday of Thanksgiving fell on Thursday the 28th in 2024, meaning most people would be off work with their families throughout the weekend until that following Monday, December 2nd. Sunday responds at 7:12 p.m. asking voice call, which Straighterade misinterprets as meaning calling the victim. Sunday clarifies, no, I mean let's talk over voice, game plan this, to which Straighterade agrees. They have an hour-long call at 7:37 p.m., and at 8:59 p.m., Sunday shares the text file from the SoloTinyLeaks main post, but Straighterade doesn't immediately respond, which isn't characteristic of the rest of their conversation. Screenshots eventually released by Pixie show Destiny admitting to releasing the nudes at 9:09 p.m., saying in a Discord DM, "Ugh, there shouldn't be no, I'm so sorry, there's literally zero excuse. I've had phone combos and stuff with this person, they were fairly close to me. It's worthless to say it at this point, but I'm super sorry, there's literally no excuse. I won't say or confirm anything about them. If there's any particular action or thing I can do, just let me know." I'm going to take a second to reiterate here just how much of an understatement this admission is. Even as an admission, Destiny made the sex tape in question with Pixie in 2020. He held on to the video for years. And after beginning to interact with Rose in at least March of 2022 or earlier, shares this video on April 9th, 2022 at 9:06 p.m. This isn't the end, but rather the start of the nearly 5,000 message long DM conversation Destiny would have with Rose for over a year following that point, during which he would reveal his sexual trysts with other women and men in his life, share recordings of dubious consent, and even mock his former paramours that had fallen out of favor. The truth is that Destiny engaged with Rose believing some aspect of their relationship was strong enough to ensure she wouldn't immediately start leaking what he sent her. The Pixie recording was not only not remotely an anonymous video lost in a folder of other anonymous files, Destiny shows he was specifically thinking of Pixie and their relationship at the time when he decided to share that video on its own with Rose, over 2.5 years before it was finally leaked onto Kiwi Farms. At any point in that time span, Destiny could have deleted the video and potentially kept it from slipping into Solo's hands. And I argue that every time he logged into his Discord and those videos remained accessible, he was making a conscious decision to maintain that access for his own sexual gratification. The conversation in April 2022 reads as follows. At 9:06 p.m., Destiny. I don't think I have much BJ stuff recorded, lol. Rose, same time. It's fine, heh. Destiny coming back at 9:28 p.m. Oh, there was a girl once, Pixie. She was young and she was kind of new and wasn't that good, but she would just kind of hold on to me and tongue the head a lot, which actually ended up feeling good, lol. But no cum shot. Do you want that vid? Specifically, and I have to hammer this home, he thought of Pixie. He remembered her vulnerability and inexperience, and he chose her because of it. Then he pitched that vulnerability, that experience, of a young woman who trusted him as a prelude to deviant sexual behavior between himself and a girl who may at the time have been a minor. Then he sent that specific video to Rose at 9:36 p.m., April 9th, 2022, and never in that time went back and deleted it. Over the following year, he would do this again and again, each time making specific offers or answering specific requests, and never once suggesting he had permission to share any of the videos. There is further no evidence in Destiny's past, behavior, or comportment that would ever suggest to me that this is the only individual he shared videos with, or that he stopped sharing videos for any other reason than the immediate legal scrutiny that arose following the November 29th leaks. Destiny continued sending files, including video and audio, to Rose until at least April 6, 2023, when he sent an audio-focused video recording of him giving an anonymous e-date a blowjob saying the audio was scuffed because he recorded it in his pocket. The inference here being that he started recording when the man couldn't see Destiny start a video on his phone, likely obtaining the recording without consent. Destiny ends this interaction with, "Did I ever send it to you?" suggesting he'd sent so many videos to Rose and who knows who else that he literally lost track of them. It's under this context that Destiny makes his half-assed apology to Pixie. I just really wanted to make that explicit. Back on the 29th, it's 9:30 p.m. and President Sunday is sending Straight Array leaked DMs between Lav and Pixie. And then there's a roughly 2-hour gap in the logs. At 11:12 p.m., Sunday messages Straight Array about Pixie privating her Twitter, and Straight Array responds with a snapshot of a post from user Physics Ninja on Kiwi Farms. And around 12:18 a.m., November 30th, Andrew Wilson tweets simply, "Pixie, ooh." Straight Array and Sunday follow the leak's aftermath through the night, with Straight Array sharing a DM from Jew Stalker asking about the Pixie situation at around 12:38 a.m. Sunday and Straight Array decide the best plan is to play it cool and not share information on the issue for a day in order to see if Jew Stalker ends up offering up new information, and then to ask Jew Stalker if he has any advice on how to handle the situation, essentially trying to game the guy off rip. At 2:21 a.m., Pixie reaches out to Destiny again, showing him screenshots of Drama Alert's coverage of the initial leaks, wondering if Destiny and Keemstar, owner/operator of Drama Alert, are friendly enough that Destiny could ask to have the post taken down. Destiny replies in the negative, and Pixie gives a disappointed but understanding response. Destiny's follow-up response to that isn't until 1:04 p.m. that same day, suggesting essentially that Pixie is free to say or do whatever she wants, but that he's not going to talk about anything specifically and is never going to confirm or deny the identities of people in the videos. At 7:06 p.m., Straight Array shares the same Drama Alert story with Sunday, writing out laughter and asking, "Did you see this?" The next morning at 1:50 a.m., Sunday responds, "Pixie should consider filing a police report." SoloTinyLeaks starts posting to Kiwi Farms again on December 2nd, 2024, at 9:47 a.m., showing DMs between himself and Destiny where Destiny swears Rose told him she was of age, after Solo needles Destiny for joking about never having actually verified Rose's age in the DMs. He sends another message around 10:10 a.m., establishing a hard line about verifying anything regarding Rose's age in order to protect her from being fully identified. He also clarifies that he didn't hack Rose's account, she gave it to him because she was done with it and didn't care what leaked. Solo himself says he's only doing these leaks because he thinks it's funny. DMs released by Pixie and Destiny fill in their activities from December 2nd and 3rd. Pixie messages Destiny at 4:09 p.m. asking him to keep her up to date on the lawyer dealing with the leaks. Destiny responds at 4:10 p.m. that if Pixie has any discrete requests or specific things she wants or needs from him to let him know, because she's been fucked over in this, adding that Ninu, I don't know who that is reaching out to law firms and they're both waiting to hear responses back for filing police reports to grab court orders and stuff. At 4:18 p.m., Pixie explicitly states she doesn't want to have to testify or be named, and she's responding to people asking if it's her by saying the girl in the video is just a lookalike. Destiny responds at 4:19 p.m. that he hasn't confirmed or denied anything, and he'll double check with her before anything ever gets mentioned in the police report, court order, or anything else. At 3:35 a.m. on December 3rd, Pixie asks him to not confirm it's her, even in private. Destiny responds a minute later that Straight Array is the only person with whom he's talked about Pixie. SoloTinyLeaks spends the next few days answering questions about the leaks and providing additional details about Rose and Destiny's relationship. A post at 11:30 a.m. shows that Destiny accidentally made geolocation data available with the leaks as well, clarifying in a later post that Destiny shared both raw files as well as Google Doc links with locations still in the metadata. In further posts, Solo confirms this was all done for the lulz, that even the ultimatum for him to not leak the files was fake, and that Destiny didn't offer money to Rose as part of a findom or financial domination kink. He also confirms in a message at 12:28 p.m. that the well is generally dry on any additional revenge porn leaks, and most of the rest of the Discord export is cringe sexual conversations. Also, that Destiny spoke with Rose until late 2023 and continued sporadically trying to reach out to her unsuccessfully until just a month before the leaks. Solo holds court on Kiwi Farms for the next several days, responding at his leisure to Kiwi Farms users following the leaks. The messages during this time are mostly reacting in general to the leaks, asking for confirmation or denial of certain Destiny lore bits, and largely asking Solo to hand over the nearly 5,000 message file to them. Solo maintains his refusal to do so out of respect for Rose's privacy, but offers additional information that Destiny offered to fly Rose out to him a number of times, but she refused because her parents wouldn't let her. Solo says in a message dropped at 1:32 p.m. on December 3rd that Destiny also got a bit upset when Rose declined because her parents wouldn't have allowed her to. He insisted she should be old enough to visit, LOL. He shares a message with screenshots from the Destiny DMs at 2:39 p.m., showing Destiny made offers to fly Rose from July of 2022 through April of 2023, even adding details about other women he picked up from the airport and had sex with and the flight schedules of women he was expecting to fly in and meet with him. Replying at 3:19 p.m. to questions over whether or not Solo is concerned about Kiwi farmers using flight times, dates, and context clues to figure out who Destiny might be referring to, Solo replies, "No, I encourage the tracking of these random whores." In the same message, he also confirms that Rose didn't have an online presence that would be subject to the mutually assured destruction reprisals against her career Destiny notoriously threatens other women in his life with. Solo also shares the log of Destiny turning over the Pixie sex tape in this message, and provides some context as to when the Pixie video may have been taken. The final, and I think darkest message sent by Solo on December 3rd is in response to concerns the Discord chat files didn't actually contain the original pornography files, just hyperlinked to Discord's own internal servers, which meant Destiny would have deleted all the files if they weren't backed up already. Solo replies, he only deleted like 2 of the sex tapes. He left all the dick videos and Melina sex tapes. It's all stuff I leaked already, he's just in damage control mode. The inference here being that Destiny, given the opportunity to delete the leaked files, may have intentionally left up access to videos of his ex-wife, one of the few people in the leaks with their face fully exposed. SoloTinyLeaks gives a non-denial that Rose was working as an e-prostitute at 8:26 p.m. on the 3rd, and from here the well runs dry on SoloTinyLeaks posts. He provides screenshots of Destiny using Google Drive links to share pornography with Rose at least 4 times, twice in April 2022 and twice in April 2023, and generally reiterates his stances on Destiny being weird, and Solo's own reservations against providing identifying information in regard to Rose, in posts at 8:24 a.m. on December 4th and 9:40 a.m. on December 6th. In the December 4 message, he clarifies that he told President Sunday he was Russian in DMs because Sunday has been constantly taking shots at me in Queenman's server, so I wanted to fuck with him. This is also the reason given for sending Sunday a picture of a naked black guy. Solo further clarifies he's not interested in going through nearly 5,000 messages between Rose and Destiny to censor stuff, and that pretty much wraps up SoloTinyLeaks post history until his final post down the line in January, but we'll get to that. Meanwhile, on the afternoon of the 4th, Sunday and Straighteraid resume conversations about Pixie's actions in the aftermath of the leak. Sunday initiates at 2:14 p.m., remarking that Pixie's strategy is apparently to reply to people about the leaks, but deny it's her in the leaks, which is the wrong decision because now it's content. Straighteraid confirms a few minutes later that she's been following the conversations in ChudLogic's spicy chat and agrees with Sunday's assessment. Sunday sends Straighteraid copies of Pixie's posts from Spicy Chat and suggests she's making a reason for people to investigate it for her, and that lying about the leaks is the worst thing Pixie can do. Straighteraid replies at 2:45 p.m. with confirmation that she's been coaching Pixie on how to behave during the aftermath of the leaks, and Pixie has been ignoring her. Sunday and Straighteraid commiserate on Pixie's shortcomings as an imperfect victim, and at 11:47 a.m., Sunday suggests a course of action for Straighteraid. You're going to have to let her torch herself, and then pat her shoulder after the consequences of her own actions ruin her year. The smart move would actually be to maneuver as a victim of Steven, and put those people currently jumping down her throat on her side. Be outraged about the fact of the leak, and make that the scandal. Instead it's, ooze Pixie no. Curiously, this mirrors Andrew Wilson's tweet reacting to the issue in November. There's a gap in the provided conversation here of about 7 minutes, and the next screenshot provided in the Cope and Seed video shows Sunday responding at 2:54 p.m. to some cut-off question from Straighteraid with the suggestion, maybe just showing him screenshots and saying, is this a good idea? Straighteraid's response to Sunday at 2:55 p.m. is, Kyla was asking me for details earlier, and one of the few redactions present in these chat logs. Straighteraid goes on to discuss Destiny Orbiter and employee Kyla Turner, or Not So Erudite, reaching out to Straighteraid to ask questions about Pixie. Starting with a general, how is she doing, and then proceeding into a question over whether Pixie knew Destiny took the video and if Pixie consented to it being shared. Over the next few minutes, they speculate over Kyla's motives in asking this question, wondering if she legitimately doesn't know the information or if she's probing for answers on Destiny's behalf. Ultimately, they agree that Kyla is probably acting in bad faith. Sunday suggests the possibility that Kyla is worried Destiny might have made a secret sexual recording of her as well, in a cutoff comment. And Straighteray tells Sunday at 3:05 p.m. that she knows Pixie consented to being recorded by Destiny.
Straighteray, Erin, Lycan's girlfriend, also known as that one girl from that Change My Mind event that Destiny did. So basically, if you don't know the lore here, essentially Straighteray came in. She was like a lefty on a college campus that Destiny debated, and she came into Destiny's community. She was coming on stream a couple times, and then slowly integrated. It turned out she was a President Sunday fan beforehand, I believe. Obviously, that caused some distrust in DGG. So you'll see it all the time. Anytime I get brought up there, it's isn't that guy Mr. Girl fan? Is that guy Spicy Chatter? Doesn't he hang out in Spicy Chat?
Mainstream conversations about the Destiny leaks essentially die out completely in December. People take off for the holidays, and interest in Destiny's probable crimes and the people he committed them against is relegated back to the crusted sock drawer of internet drama forums. Pixie's name in connection to the leaks remains a topic of conversation in these spaces only. And though other internet personalities are offered as possible matches to other women in the videos, including Straighteray, Pixie remains the most recognizable person in the leaks outside of Destiny and his wife Melina, meaning Pixie is also, as a microscopic hanger-on of an e-celeb, by far the most vulnerable of the three. And in the weeks following the leaks, the near constant harassment she received as a result of Destiny's actions drove her to the brink of suicide. Publicly released communiques between Destiny and Pixie are generally pretty light following Pixie's identification in the leaked video, with Pixie having to press Destiny for updates. I've already covered other messages in this vein, and the last is on December 9th, 2024 at 6:02 p.m. Pixie asks for any updates, and Destiny says he's working on a second law firm now because the first one didn't seem helpful, and that he has a private investigator trying to figure out who the person is, so he can get an injunction. Pixie isn't impressed with Destiny's ability to provide relief to the situation he dropped her in, and decides to kill herself, telling him, and apparently Straighteray, though that message isn't available, on December 11th. Partial leaks of the following conversations and Straighteray's raw and unevidenced speculations around the events of the time will end up forming the entirety of the evidence President Sunday and Beckett used to accuse Pixie of engaging in extortion against Destiny, a claim Destiny himself is now using to defray criticisms of the disgraceful criminal acts he committed against Pixie. Destiny, Sunday, Beckett, and other dipshits on the internet maintain claims that, in these logs, Pixie states that her silence is for sale, that the price for that silence is $1 million, and that she used a threat of suicide in order to blackmail Destiny.
In an exchange that I have learned has since been circulated among the entire commentary community on YouTube and virtually everyone in Destiny's circle, Not So Erudite can be seen haggling with Pixie over the amount of money that would be appropriate for Destiny to pay her to not involve the court system or to denounce him publicly. First, Pixie uses the implicit threat of her impending suicide and a scheduled note announcing it to pressure Destiny to pay out a significant sum of money, and then later switches to vague threats of public denunciations and legal action.
Emphatically, I am telling you this never occurs. For clarity, I've combined the publicly available message chains between Destiny and Pixie, Destiny and Straighteray, and Pixie and Straighteray into chronological order. What you'll see paints a picture of Straighteray, the same woman who had an hour-long conversation with President Sunday within hours of the original leak, game planning how to deal with Pixie, the same woman who has been accepting coaching from President Sunday on how to direct Pixie's actions, intentionally maneuvering Destiny to offer Pixie some cash payout in order to get her mind off suicide. To quote President Sunday himself, Straighteray literally played him like a fiddle. December 11th, 2024, 2:09 p.m. Pixie writes Destiny with a suicide note. The note, "Hi, Steven. As my life on this earth comes to a close, I want you to be, please, more careful with the people who place their trust in you in the future. Life is unfair, but you should do your best in preventing that, not contributing to it." 2:26 p.m. Destiny responds, "Hold up there. What's up?" 2:47 p.m. Pixie, I'm just tired of living anymore. It's a matter of time until my family discovers what happened, and I feel like there is no way to obtain justice. I don't want to bring a case against you, but I think you'll continue to send nudes of people even without their consent. Bringing a case against you would mean going public, which is the equivalent of a death sentence for me either way. So I feel like the best thing to do is for me to kill myself and schedule a post just detailing my feelings on that. Happened to try to ensure a situation like this doesn't happen again. I'm not going to kill myself at this second. I'm trying to get some things in order before I end everything, but I don't see a future where I survive much longer. It's better to end things sooner than later and stop the pain than let it continue. 2:53 p.m. Destiny responds that it's hard for him to give her advice because he's implicated, but gives her a bunch of advice anyway. This advice boils down to, this'll all blow over. You have every legal option available to you. And 3, you have accomplished and done a ton of things in the past couple of years. When I met you a few years ago, you were yo-yoing like crazy between ultra-suicidal ideation, thoughts, and being hung up on a weird guy and feeling aimless after getting your college degrees. But you've done a ton of work this year with PvE, moved to and survived in Miami all on your own, branched out into new content areas and made new friends across new communities. It would be super shitty to not follow through for a couple more years at least and see where you could continue to push things. 6:25 p.m. Lauren DeLaguna to Destiny. What you did was evil. December 12th, 2024. 1:02 a.m. Destiny writes Straighterade saying he has no clue what to do, sharing the attached suicide note and responds. 1:03 a.m. Straighterade responds, how much did she tell you? 1:04 a.m. Destiny shares a screenshot of his convo with Pixie. 1:05 a.m. Straighterade says she's surprised Pixie told Destiny she was considering suicide and asked if Pixie responded to a screen-capped message or deleted it. To which Destiny responds, he's sure she just didn't respond. 1:06 a.m. Straighterade says Pixie's not doing well and has made all the wrong moves in responding to this. I told her not to reply to people. Destiny says he doesn't think Pixie's done anything too bad, just privated her stuff for a bit was fine. 1:07 a.m. Straighterade says people have sent her stuff that Pixie said to them in DMs. She's denying it in private and DMing people to stop talking about it because it's not her. 1:08 a.m. Destiny says, oh welp. If it's helping her process, it's fine so long as she's not making things worse. 1:08 p.m. Straighterade tells Destiny Pixie was in Spicy Chat, and their comments made her want to kill herself a few days ago. And that Pixie told Straighterade she'd commit suicide if her parents found out because Straighterade had suggested reaching out to family members that could be trusted to give her emotional support. But she's not really talking to people. Straighterade adds that Lonerbox messaged her asking if she'd heard from Pixie because Pixie hasn't been messaging him. 1:10 a.m. Destiny responds to the message about Spicy Chat saying, this is bad, yeah. 1:10 a.m. Straighterade said she messaged Pixie tonight, and Pixie said she thinks she needs to kill herself. 1:10 a.m. Destiny responds, I feel stupid going over there or asking her to just hang out for obvious reasons, but he doesn't know what else he can do or if he's even a person who can offer support. 1:11 a.m. Destiny messages Pixie to ask how she's doing. 1:13 a.m. Straighterade messages Destiny. I don't know how she views you. When she told me, I wondered if I should tell you and ask for help. But if she sees you as an abuser, then it seems like the ultimate betrayal to do that. Same with telling her family if she's explicitly said she can't rely on them for support. Like, I'd rather have her pissed off at me for life but alive. But I also don't know how to intervene. She doesn't seem manic, but I have no training to really make that judgment. But a wellness check seems like it'll do fuck all because she'll just act normal to get them to go away. So she's going to make that judgment anyway. And they wouldn't commit her just on my word alone. Straighterade adds she's told Pixie that she needs to speak with her therapist. 1:42 a.m. Pixie responds to Destiny with a message that's redacted. 1:44 a.m. Destiny responds that he doesn't think the leaks will exit his immediate orbit except for a few deranged hater people. Says he's sure if she blocks and moves on, he's pretty sure no one would say or mention anything after a few more weeks. At some point in that area, Straighterade says she doesn't know how much framing all of this in terms of relative harm helps. We're all egocentric, so even if that's true, I wonder if it's getting through to her. 1:49 a.m. Destiny says, yeah, maybe not. I don't know what to do. 1:49 a.m. Straighterade replies $3. Fucking offer to cover her therapy or shit. I don't know her employment situation, but I don't think it's good. 1:50 a.m. Destiny replies, you really think so? I have zero problem with that. I thought about it, but it feels super ultra scummy or like I'm just trying to buy her off her feeling bad or something. But obviously some $1,000,000,000%, I don't know. I would absolutely do this. 1:52 a.m. Straighterade says, yes, I really think so, lol. Adding Pixie mentioned pursuing a case against Destiny in the first screenshot he sent Straighterade, and this isn't a crime that's punishable with jail as far as I know, which isn't far because she doesn't fucking know. So unless she thought it did or some other punitive measure she felt would deter you, I'm gonna assume she was considering doing it for financial damages. I should stop here real quick as just a bit of an editorializing. None of these people have any training in law enforcement, in law. They're fucking morons on the internet. These expert opinions are worth dog shit. Destiny, what do you think would be the appropriate way of even approaching her about that? Straighterade at 1:54 a.m., which is probably extremely difficult to prove in her case. She's not a high-profile micro-celebrity, and you didn't leak it maliciously. You didn't even leak it at all. You distributed it non-consensually. 1:55 a.m., Destiny replies, yeah, I know. Looked into it for obvious reasons, just to be sure, but I don't really care much about the legal side of it or whatever. Obviously, I have severely, at the very least, psychologically damaged her. Covering therapy or whatever is a minimum, and I have no problem helping out or sending her money for anything as a form of repatriation. I just didn't want it to come off as like, hey bitch, lol. I know I violated your trust in the worst way ever, but here's some money, have fun. Straighterade responds with a skull emoji. 1:56 a.m. Straighterade suggests Destiny front-loading the offer with genuinely not being able to rectify it naturally because of the obvious conflict of interest, but you'd like to try, and that it's something you would do if it could help her. 1:58 a.m. Destiny asks what law school Pixie was looking to go to, and if money is the only thing stopping her from going or something. 1:59 a.m. Straighterade says yeah, Pixie does have money problems and still owes Straighterade $147 for a broken couch, specifically. And she and Destiny talk over the history there, and Straighterade says Pixie's job situation is weird right now. 2:04 a.m. Destiny sends the message he's planning on sending to Pixie to Straighterade to look over, and asks if it seemed okay to her. The message, this feels super lame, and I don't at all want to imply that somehow just giving you money helps anything go away, or fixes everything for you, but if you have any bills or owe any money on anything or have any financial stuff I can help with, I can at the very least chip in and help with any of that. So it's at least one less thing you have to worry about or stress over while you're worrying and getting through this. 2:04 a.m. Straighterade says yes, and I think it would only be skeevy to do this if you were like, can I give you this money so you don't take legal action against me, please? Thank you. Which is the first time that is mentioned, by the way, by Straighterade to Destiny. Pixie's nowhere even near this conversation. 2:05 a.m. Destiny offers to cover some bills for Pixie because this feels super lame, sending that message to Pixie. 2:06 a.m. Destiny replies maybe yeah to Straighterade. 2:06 a.m. Straighterade says, but you told her in the first message she could still take legal action, unless you meant to the leaker, but it reads like you're saying she could do that against you. 2:06 a.m. Destiny says he meant himself included in that, yes, although the better option would probably be the leaker. 2:12 a.m. Pixie says she feels there's no justice for what's been done to Destiny, and essentially the pornography leak has ruined her life. True. She feels violated, and people will always use the video as proof that she slept her way into anything she accomplishes. 2:13 a.m. Pixie replies to Destiny's first message saying, I feel like whatever I ask you to cover will be too high a price. 2, then I'm going to feel even worse over it. Note, this is one of the things people are going to go back to again and again and again to say she wanted to charge him like $1 billion. 2:17 a.m. Destiny responds, I think the number of people who know or even keep up with it enough to go after you on this is probably almost zero. It's not true. I think people who hate others involved, me, Lauren, Nick, Fuentes, LOL, way, way, way more, and it overshadows everything a lot more. As for any achievements or anything like that, the majority of the work and stuff you've done has been completely independent from me anyway. So the only people who would say anything like that are people who have said shit like that anyway and aren't worth the time. I wouldn't know about Pixie at all if it wasn't for Destiny. The possibility that she's not directly connected to him career-wise is psychotic. Everything that she's done in this entire sphere on the internet is because of her proximity to DGG. That's just raw one of the most incorrect things I've ever heard someone say. 2:54 a.m. Pixie says, I feel like part of the reason why I'm still freaked out is because it's been like 2 weeks and I still have people commenting on my socials and DMs about it. She specifically notes Andrew Wilson, Big Papa Fascist, and that they seemed focused on using this information to hurt Pixie for the rest of her life. 2:57 a.m. Destiny suggests blocking and moving on. 3:01 a.m. Pixie asks how she's going to block and move on when it reaches her family. 3:03 a.m. Destiny asks how old are they again? And suggests trying to convince her parents that she's been deepfaked. 3:12 a.m. Pixie suggests her dad is too tuned into this sphere to be tricked by such a ruse, and her cousins are also kind of tapped into this world. So once they hear about it, they're going to tell her family as well. Pixie reiterates that it's game over for her if her parents find out. 3:15 a.m. Destiny downplays their reaction, suggests Pixie say the video is embarrassing and dumb and 5 years old. Pixie responds at 3:25 a.m., I could kill myself, avoid the pain and suffering that will come from my family treating me badly and finding out, and not live the rest of my life in fear that someone will use this to harass me. 3:28 a.m., Destiny says, it only has as much power as you let someone have it. Definitely not taking her seriously at all, and telling her to look at the bigger picture. 3:32 a.m., Pixie asks if Destiny doesn't think it's realistic that someone might fire her over the pornography, or that she'll lose whatever future career she works in because the office passes around her sex tape. 3:35 a.m., Destiny says absolutely not, and suggests that because average people don't know what Kiwi Farms is, they won't stumble across the video. No mention of Spicy Chat or Queenman's Discord or any of the other creators that will have all of this stuff on their hard drive somewhere. Pixie says at 3:53 she's not convinced because Kiwi Farms isn't how people got the video, so she's on it. Destiny says he thinks it's all died down anyway, and only he'll have to deal with it. Now at 10:23 a.m., Straighteraid messages Pixie, how are you feeling this morning? 10:37 a.m., Pixie says she feels better, somber, but not suicidal. Straighteraid, that's good. Well, not good. Did you reply to Steven? 11:27 a.m., Pixie responds, yeah. We just got into an argument back and forth on why I shouldn't kill myself. She says she hasn't replied to his last message or asked him to cover her tuition, adding she wouldn't expect he would. 9:06 p.m., Destiny messages Straighteraid to say he wants to send Pixie a live stream fail thread on Reddit, where he's being called homophobic slurs, but nobody's mentioning Pixie. But he doesn't know if that would be minimizing Pixie's complaints or not. Spoiler. 9:28 p.m., Straighteraid replies that if he could minimize the situation, that would be good, actually. Then Pixie wouldn't think about the revenge porn as much, a thing that is possible and could actually literally happen. 9:28 p.m., Straighteraid sent screenshots of her 10:23 a.m. convo with Pixie to Destiny. 9:43 p.m., Destiny infers the cost of tuition for law school is $200,000 and too high for him to pay. 9:51 p.m., Straighteraid says, I told her to make the request, and y'all can negotiate from there. In Destiny's final statement on the leaks, dropped on February 20th, 2025, he says that Pixie removed him as a friend on Discord at some point following the December 12th conversation. It speaks a great deal to the validity of Pixie's belief that Destiny was a worthless ally in this situation, if not an outright detriment. That he doesn't know exactly when she stopped talking to him. According to his final statement, future contact with Pixie was handled through intermediaries, the most important of which being Not So Erudite, or Kyla Turner. What little I know about Not So Erudite is she's the Igor to Destiny's Dr. Rapenstein, basically a hanger-on that worm-tongued her way up to secretarial work, and a recurring role as nobody's favorite voice in any conversation. Her Instagram looks like she did a talented Mr. Ripley for e-girls and is now skinwalking a 50 concurrent hot tub streamer. Either way, a conversation between Pixie and Kyla, recorded via video swipe and shared to Straighteraid, forms the last piece of evidence in the January 20th hit pieces put out by Beckett and Sunday. 6:31 p.m. Pixie messages Erudite about whether she's talked with Steven. Erudite says not yet and asks if Pixie is hinging a lot on Erudite speaking with him. Other than what I mentioned, is there anything you were hoping to be brought up? Pixie explains at length that she has a few options depending on where the conversation goes and doesn't trust Steven to be repentant about his actions or try correcting them or take her concerns seriously. Pixie says she's not going to kill herself, at least until after the holidays, to avoid traumatizing her friends and family. And her options are either to go public while she's still alive and gauge the amount of humiliation before deciding whether to kill herself, or just killing herself first and scheduling the note to release after her death. Every option clearly includes going public, and Steven's interaction will only change her likelihood of killing herself. Erudite lists her understanding of Pixie's wants: help removing the videos from the internet, getting the guy who hacked charged, a sense that Steven understands how in the wrong he was, and a plan for fixing his future behavior. Erudite asks to share these messages with Steven, and Pixie agrees because she trusts Erudite to explain Pixie's side of things on account of Erudite being understanding in previous conversations. Pixie further specifies she wants Steven to feel punitive damages for his behavior that she believes an external authority would be required to administer. Erudite balks at this demand, inferring that it's somehow a change from their previous conversations. I'm not sure what caused the change in your thinking, because I'm not totally certain what's led to the certainty on this course of action. Pixie stays strong, essentially explaining she would rather either settle out of court or go to court. He's also alluded to financial compensation, but I don't think he really understood the concept of proportionality of the action, since he asked if there were any bills he could pay for me. I just felt Like he didn't understand when he said he would pay some bills for me because it makes me feel like he's telling me, oh, I'm sorry that happened, here's $200, hope you feel better. Which I think really underestimates the gravity of the situation, to put it lightly, and somehow makes me feel like a cheap prostitute. Yeah. Kyla says Steven is worried he might look like he's buying your silence, but Pixie never once in this conversation suggests her silence is for sale. That's basically it for the rest of 2024 as far as information relevant to the January 20th videos goes. And I want to end the section on this point. All of the information I have here is from typing into search engines and abusing the screen capture function of my computer. Excluding the scant few additions to the story provided by Destiny and Pixie after the fact, everything here has been available for months, particularly to the parties at the center of this thing. Straighterade will come to be the singular source of information in Sunday and Beckett's reporting. So even the argument that Pixie and Destiny released additional information later only really counts for their DMs, and the relevant DMs between them for this case were already shared to Straighterade. The fact of the matter is, Straighterade could have shared her full DMs with Pixie and Destiny at any given time to give Sunday and Beckett a complete picture of the story and her part in it, but they decided to proceed without asking.
I had to remind him, like, look, it doesn't need to be perfect. We just need to get this out there. We're not making like an art piece, right? I wasn't rushing him to make him make a decision. I was rushing him because we were late.
By the end of the new year, it's pretty clear that though the leaks have yet to break to a mainstream audience, the leaks themselves, the fallout surrounding them, and the implications of their inevitable release remain a hot topic of conversation in the backroom communities where they originated. This is most evident in the now notorious New Year's 2024 co-stream between commentary maniacs Nick DiOrio
Bro, it's time!
Turkey Tom.
He's also been the subject of online mockery due to his marriage, which is an open one, in which he and his wife Melina see other people. Well, I guess I should say ex-wife, as they're now divorced, and she seemingly left him for someone who is one day away from taking hormones.
Matt Gaetz owns you. Matt Gaetz owns you, little bro. The right wing owns you.
The right? Are you
the
serious?
The right owns you.
I'm gonna cuck you so hard. Yeah.
You wanna wait?
And go up. And when you go down to 90 degrees.
Only 90?
Yeah, you don't have to go all the way down.
What if I want to work out like my entire muscle though?
Bad for you. You're gonna tear something. You're not gonna be able to stream or jerk off. He's really passionate about weightlifting. You never expect him to be someone to exercise. Good. It seems like genetically he's an alpha, but his lifestyle is that of a beta.
Oh my God, look at him go. Oh my God, look at him go, look at him go. Are you getting this? Zoom in on that vascularity.
Rags, Augie RFC, and Chud Logic.
Whoa, as always, a man's life hangs in the balance. Yet we see another great review. Let's get into it. Where Chud Logic pushed Turkey Tom on sweeping for Destiny by not covering the leaks.
I brought all that. I had all that shit on my feed. I was ready to cover it. I'm just like, I don't know what's happening here, so I'm not touching this.
Oh, you're gonna cover Destiny?
I had the Destiny stuff all pulled up, and I'm like, I don't know what. When I say the Destiny stuff, chat probably thinks I was gonna pull up him talk like the fucking video of him sucking cock on camera. But no, like the Melina stuff.
Just waiting to see if
YouTube drama.
A person?
Who is?
I'm waiting to see if he ever responds to anything about it, because that would be like.
Did you see the clip yesterday?
The Wick one?
The Wick one was terrible, yeah.
That
was brutal. What's happening?
But the thing is, like, you just don't know.
Yeah, there's no way to know.
With it.
Nicholas DiOrio.
Okay, am I crazy? I thought it was, and this is my speculation. Before I make a comment on this, this is my speculation. I'm not saying this as a fact. But when all those DMs got leaked, I just kind of assumed in my mind that was obviously revenge porn.
I've just
is
waited.
that is that an insane? Oh, I'm not saying, I'm not reporting that as like, oh, this was confirmed, but I'm just saying, like, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, this clearly must have been like.
Are you talking about with regards to
like all the sex
the guy
videos
that did the hack and released it? That's like explicitly revenge porn. I think there's another term for it. If you send an image to someone.
Sending it.
No. But it's like it's called something else. It's called like the sharing of the non-consensual sharing of intimate images, because it's not being done for the intent, but it's still bad to do it.
You mean for the
just to
intent
be
of
clear,
publishing
they're
it?
asking
Is that the
if the
delineation?
participants in those videos were knowledgeable that this was being shared at all, is the question. Yeah.
Right.
But,
well, I doubt they were.
Yeah,
I mean, I doubt they were.
Yeah,
well, let's use that fucking reindeer, shall we?
all of my thoughts
That's
were
what I
that,
was thinking.
yeah.
I was like, it's obvious that he was. Hey, can I send your nudes to this other guy? By the way, like, I don't think that was happening.
Wait, were there DMs where that was said?
We got someone from one of the videos here. Tom, did he ask you about sending your dick sucking vid to people, or was
Wait, I thought that was Nick Fuentes.
Person?
Well, you did ask.
No, Tom
I gave
tweeted it
full
was me,
permission.
so I. It looked like.
I mean, what are we supposed to say? We don't really know what went on.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of the main thing. Is like I don't really know what's going on there.
I mean, it's
But
pretty obvious. It's pretty okay. Can we stop this fucking sweeping, please? It's pretty fucking obvious what went on, isn't it?
What do
There
you
wasn't.
know?
There wasn't fucking consent. It's obvious, bro. It's fucking obvious, dude. It's fucking obvious.
Let's.
All right, Adam to the call.
Show
Bring him
logic.
in.
Let's talk about it. Show logic. Let's talk about it. What do you mean it's obvious?
Melina commented on it and said that she didn't consent.
Do I just trust Melina?
All right, hold on. So I went
Okay,
on
well, okay. I tell you what. If she's lying, why doesn't Destiny prove it then?
I don't know. That's why I said.
Why
I'm
did he
waiting to
react
see if
like that? Why
responds.
did he react? Why is he not commenting on it in any meaningful way? It's fucking obvious what's going on, bro.
Who knows?
Bro, the sweeping is unbelievable. I'd heard it, but I didn't know it was
Oh
true.
my
Tom
God.
sweeping for Destiny
You say
yet again,
sweeping.
bro.
Here we go.
All right,
Here we go.
I went
okay,
on
okay, hold on. Let me talk to Chad real quick. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So for Melina, she could be telling the truth. For Destiny, that clip does look bad. But I've been traumatized by the internet, by the amount of false allegations that have happened, that I'm just waiting.
What happens when
I
someone
fucking
levies a false allegation? The person at the center of the allegation responds and debunks it, right?
Yeah, he hasn't
So
responded
why
yet.
hasn't that happened?
I don't know yet.
Is Destiny the kind of
We'll
person
find
that
out.
shies away from responding to controversy?
No, but he usually does wait.
So
for what?
The thing is, based on everything I've seen, I think you're probably right. But I'm not going to
Thank
go
you.
out of my way to cast
Thank
judgment
you.
on it when I don't fucking know.
Yeah, bro, I'm not saying you have to do a full thing about it. I get that, right? But like, can we stop at all? It's fucking obvious. It's obvious, okay? It's very clear. What happened?
Okay.
Reactions to these statements have been the subject of numerous interpretations in the time since the live stream, and to this day, Commentary's detractors use the conversation as a clear indication that Destiny was receiving special treatment from Commentary. This is obviously the case, regardless of the statements in this stream, and even these creators, I believe, would generally agree that Destiny presents special challenges in coverage, largely because of his massive, dedicated, and extremely online audience.
It's just it's a very crazy little place on the internet, you know?
Yeah.
It is a very crazy place.
Oh my
crazy.
God.
What makes it crazy? What's the issue? Would you say mainly?
Well, the apocalypse, I think that's one thing that, you know, as it gets more and more heated, I really don't like. I guess what you're getting at is the idea that I actually didn't want to hang out with DGG because of this stuff. I guess is the implication you're making, but
Well, I mean,
that is
what
not
what
the
sort of
case.
response do you get when you issue, like, I don't know, like a little criticism of Destiny, or you got a little disagreement? What sort of response you tend to get from that community? Would you say?
Me?
Yeah.
It's not great sometimes. Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it's not great.
Sorry, I don't care, Mr. Girl. DGG is not nearly as autistic.
Oh
as
my
fucking
God!
Dark
Look
Viper
at this
stand-in.
classic tactic of webbing.
Hey, I'm sorry,
Make
you
it sound
disagree?
like I'm Mr. Girl. Make it sound like I'm Mr. Girl, one of the DGG bad guys.
Wait,
Oh, you're just
DGG
like him,
is-
aren't you?
Wait, who would you rather fight with, DGG full force or Dark Viper's retard audience? Honestly.
When I've had disagreements with Destiny, it's mostly been fine. The time that it was bad was when I talked about the leaks, and there was a post in a subreddit saying that I was homophobic or something to that extent. But that was the
That's
only
funny.
really.
They call homophobic once a week. DGG is only like lethal if you're like a total retard.
The real issue that arose from the New Year stream was more so the reticence of Tom and Nick to discuss the leaks and the more certain terms Chud was familiar with. After all, Queeman, whose server originated the leaks, is Chud's largest orbiter. And Blav, who identified Pixie in the leaks, said he was also in Chud's Discord before being banned from Kiwi Farms. Tom especially being hesitant to describe the revenge porn leak as what it is, and Nick saying he'd shelved his segment on Destiny despite having it queued up, gave rise to extremely reasonable suspicions that Nick and Tom were more concerned about their future relationships with Destiny than they were sex crimes. But in their defense, Chud Logic held all the cards here. The Kiwi Farms thread was old hat by this point. He had one of the most dedicated anti-Destiny doxers, Blav, in his server, and President Sunday had been outed at least a month prior for asking dirt on Chud by SoloTinyLeaks himself. So Chud was absolutely in the circle as much as anybody else.
So what you'd have to believe is that every single person whose video was sent consented to it, right? Now, obviously, there's some discussion and, not non-certainty over who certain people are, and saying it makes it clear who that is, and maybe they've not confirmed it's them, so it's a bit complicated.
Wait, well,
but
what do you mean by?
The reality is, I do not believe.
What do you mean by?
Sorry, go on.
What do you mean by all the different people?
Well, there's obviously multiple clips of different people having different sex acts happening, right?
The easiest one to reference is the guy whose fucking cock was getting fucking sucked.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay,
and which again, just to be clear, I agree with
wasn't that the guy?
Okay, this is very simple to do. This is really simple. This is really simple. Stop fucking Tom. Your explicit sweeping attempts are so fucking obnoxious, bro.
What do you mean?
The questions.
Shut the fuck
sweep,
up. Okay.
Sweep.
I
Put
can't
the
tell
broom
you're
down for a
actually
second
trolling.
and fucking
Sweeping.
listen.
Me
Put the broom
asking
down
a
and listen.
question.
Put the broom down and listen. Simple question. Do you think every single person whose video got shared said, yes, I'm happy for that to be sent to some random person in the future I don't even know? Do you think that happened?
If I had to guess, probably not. But it's also Destiny, who's a fucking freak and has a very strange life and does a lot of weird sexual stuff. So who fucking knows? If they're already fucking each other, is it unreasonable for me to? Or sorry, if Melina and Destiny are fucking each other and they're fucking all these random people, okay, and who knows who else is involved, okay? Is it unreasonable for me to assume that they would also be like, when she doesn't she have like an OnlyFans or Fansly? Is it unreasonable for me to be like, well, I have no idea. Don't they send porn to everyone?
I'm not sure
I wouldn't be shocked by
if
that.
the kind of material that was being shared is the kind of stuff she would post to a Fansly account. Let's put it that way.
I don't know what was on her Fansly. Isn't Fansly for porn?
Do full nudes. Isn't that her whole thing? Is that she doesn't do full nudes, and that any full nudes that existed were revenge porn? Wasn't that her claim?
Is that what she said?
I'm pretty sure that's her claim. That was her claim. Leafy, right?
The reality is, Chud has taken some major L's in his past, taking shots at Destiny, most notably with Destiny's ex-wife Melina Garanson hanging Chud out to dry during the original run of Destiny cheating allegations.
Chud got fucked over for the Lauren Southern thing, even though everyone in DGG knew they were fucking, but he didn't have evidence because Melina refused to come forth. Yeah. Just welcome to the reality.
Bro, I do not care about shitter fucking orbiter drama. They're all a bunch of fucking retards, honestly, I feel like a slave looking back into an escaped slave looking back into the plantation and all they're wretchedly picking cotton for their master whipping them,
And this looks to me like him throwing Nick and Tom under the bus to put heat on them to cover the leaks so he can follow from a safe distance in their wake.
So you're saying I'm edgy on stream, you're saying you're edgy on stream, and I'm edgy on my stream when I'm making content, and my content happens to be stream clips. I don't do edited videos like you do.
I don't respect that. So if we all just did stream clips where we called girls lying whores, nothing would get solved.
Well, I'm not looking to solve anything. Also,
you know what happens? Okay, you say you're not looking to solve anything, but then you criticize me for prioritizing money, supposedly, when really all you care about right now in this conversation is farming.
I'm not criticizing you necessarily for prioritizing money. What I'm criticizing is the kind of like, I don't want to call it lies or dishonesty, but it's like a bit of like you're acting like this is the primary thing, when really the primary thing is the money side.
Either way, the general reaction from all the communities in the know at the time is a push for anybody to cover the leaks in full and take Destiny to account. Destiny, meanwhile, is acting like everything is business as usual, which he will continue to do essentially until the day of the video releases on January 20th, and by 9:23 p.m. that day, Straighteraid is pushing this drama to its next evolutionary stage in a conversation with President Sunday. Straighteraid tells Sunday that Pixie has been speaking with Kyla, not so erudite Turner, and that Straighteraid has told Pixie that Turner can't be trusted. Straighteraid also says that Dan Saltman, Destiny's .com millionaire friend, reached out to Pixie as well and told Pixie to ask Destiny for a reasonable amount of money and Destiny would probably pay it. Straighteraid also relays, as pure hearsay, that Saltman also instructed Pixie to suggest Destiny not take legal action against Kiwi Farms. Saltman would later deny saying that, and the general framing of this conversation in talks with Turkey Tom during a January 20th live stream on Tom's channel.
I talked to Pixie one time. I'm on good terms with her. And, you know, when we talked, she was just like asking for advice. And Destiny would probably be upset because I did like the opposite of sweeping. I was basically, she was asking like, you know, about a bunch of legal shit. And I was to the point where I was like, well, let me see if I can find some attorneys to recommend to you. Well, I wasn't like pushing one thing or the other. You won't find any logs or any crazy shit like that of me doing anything because they don't exist.
Okay. I mean, the only thing she said, as far as I could tell, is that you advised her that going public might be bad for her. Which
what she was at the time. So the first something to be clear of, like before this happened, right? Because this was all obviously way after the Kiwi Farms thread and everything else at that point. Like people already, like a bunch of people already knew. So like the whole going public thing didn't make sense. I think she was concerned is that she didn't want it to spread. And I thought that was, you know, if that's your ultimate goal, like that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So
that was my impression because I was hearing about this stuff and I was under the impression that she didn't want any of it to be public. So I was like, she is the victim, so I'm not going to, right?
Yeah, she did it. That was the number one concern, is like anything she did would draw attention to it. And I was like, well, I would agree with that. So that's why she was asking about the legal stuff, because that could be potentially completely private. But at no point was I like, don't do this, don't do that.
Sunday responds at 10:24 p.m. to suggest he and Straighteraid talk tomorrow and says he's going to speak with someone he trusts. A minute later, he direct replies to the messages regarding Saltman's alleged conversation with Pixie and says this is blackmail and that Pixie shouldn't do so and Saltman is either a moron or trying to sabotage her. At 10:29 p.m., Straighteraid shares the scrolling screen capture video from December 18th, 2024 between Pixie and Turner, adding, for context, Pixie wanted to sue for a lot of money, literally $1 million, but I told her that isn't realistic. She does not now, nor does she ever, in all available evidence given in the January 20th video, provide any substantiation for this claim. Neither President Sunday nor Beckett will ever request evidence for this claim before publishing it, and it will eventually be used by Destiny himself as part of his factual rebuttal of the Pixie accusations. 10 minutes later, Straighteraid adds that Pixie is feeling discouraged from pursuing legal options after speaking with a lawyer specializing in cyber crimes/revenge porn, who told Pixie the hacker is likely more at fault than Destiny, which is why she wants to go public about it. She feels like there's not going to be any legal justice and doesn't want him to get away with it. She adds a few minutes later that Pixie was saying that if her parents found out, she'd kill herself. 11:21 p.m. Sunday tells Straighteraid to tell Pixie to keep it cool. She's going to be all right. 11:23 p.m. Straighteraid says she did calm Pixie down, and Pixie hasn't repeated anything related to suicide since. Straighteraid asks Sunday's opinions on the message and suggests Pixie is crazy to expect that kind of money, which is never discussed in a dollar figure in the texts. Also suggests Not So Erudite's tone was off when addressing monetary compensation, and that Pixie was wrong to expect any money. 11:32 p.m. Sunday makes the decision to not deal with Pixie straightly because she's dumb and will make a very stupid decision. 11:35 p.m. Straighteraid discusses Pixie's current plan to make a twit longer and start a GoFundMe to raise legal fees, which Straighteraid says isn't a good idea because of how Pixie is, and also because Keffels fucked up the fundraising game. Their conversation continues into the next day, and at 12:44 a.m., Sunday decides to start practicing bird law, using the powers of gin and tonic to Google some random crap, suggesting Straighteraid send it to Pixie to help. This bears repeating again and again. Not only does President Sunday not have a law degree, the man is also not American. He is a Canadian-born national still living in Canada and has no concept whatsoever of the various peculiarities of the U.S. legal system. 12:45 a.m., Straighteraid says she already sent that same thing to Pixie, also a bird law practitioner, adding that's how Pixie found the first lawyer that didn't help her. 12:53 a.m., Straighteraid confirms the text scroll from Pixie was shared in its entirety and she doesn't have any more information. 12:54 a.m., Straighteraid sends the chat logs between Pixie and Destiny, adding Pixie told her this suicide threat wasn't serious, it was just to get his attention. Also, at some point during January 2nd, Nicholas Diorio receives a single screenshot of the Turner and Pixie December 18th chat log from ChudLogic.
Hey, Future Nick here. I just want to clear up something just because I want it on record, and I don't think that this stream conveyed my position super well. I mentioned that, yeah, I'm like afraid of coming forward with certain parts of the story. And the reason for that is for credibility purposes, because I'm a third-hand source, or a fourth-hand source, technically. Hold on, there's a person who's telling a person who's telling a person who's telling Chud Logic who's telling me. So yeah, obviously I'm not like a first-hand accounted witness like Erudite or Dan. And I also don't have the evidence like President Sunday. I have one singular screenshot where this guy had the entire thing in front of him.
The next major chunk of bird law occurs on January 8th, 2025. 11:36 a.m., Straighterade shares Pixie's unpublished statement with President Sunday, saying the statement is terrible. The statement is essentially verbatim what would be shared on January 20th. Straighterade asks Sunday how he would improve it, and says she's asked Pixie for a voice chat for later that day to talk about the statement. 11:39 a.m., he replies the statement seems fine, but Pixie should record it into a video. 2:54 p.m., Straighterade shares a DM screenshot between her and Pixie from 2:47 p.m., discussing Pixie's release schedule for the statement. In this DM, Pixie shares that she now does have a lawyer, and her plan is to talk to the lawyer first, send a demand letter, and based on Destiny's response to said letter, release the statement. I originally wanted to do it by next week, but it seems unlikely. 2:57 p.m. Sunday says encourage her to release it first, actively attempting to impede legal processes by which a victim is attempting to seek justice. By January 10th, Sunday's speculations about Pixie, again, fueled by nothing more than hearsay, have taken a darker turn. 5:11 p.m., President Sunday asks for updates about Pixie from Straighterade. 5:30 p.m., Straighterade says Pixie has been ignoring her since the 8th. 5:31 p.m., Sunday says we'll give it a couple days. 5:35 p.m., Straighterade suggests Pixie is annoyed with her now. Shocking development. 5:36 p.m., Sunday says, I think if she continues to evade you, we need to assume she's been paid off. There is no evidence of this being a possibility. 5:35 p.m., Straighterade says she tried to give Pixie advice that ran counter to Pixie's lawyer's instructions, and that Pixie would have told Straighterade if a settlement had been reached. 5:36 p.m., Sunday accuses Pixie of evading, adding, this is not an honest person. Her first impulse was to try and blackmail Steven with her suicide. Sunday suggests Straighterade gain access to Pixie's demand letter to go over it and keep a record of the document, essentially to share it with him. January 16th is where everything starts coming together. Straighterade messages Sunday at 1:52 p.m., and they talk about Lonerbox, mentioning he might be taking a step away from streaming for a bit on his current live stream.
Are you going to stop streaming entirely or just make it less frequent? I don't know. I'm just going to take a little break, I think. I might still game, but as far as doing like political content, I'm just going to take a break from it for a while. The gaming will come to an end soon as well. What do you mean stop streaming? I'm not going to stop like forever. I just need some... It doesn't matter. I just need a bit of a break. What was the catalyst for that decision? Can't really go into detail. It's been a few things.
So far as I can tell, this is the first allusion to the Pixie leaks by someone close to the issue in mainstream circles, and it ends up setting off a series of chain reactions that are continuing to this day. Sometime after the Lonerbox comment, Nick DiOrio reaches out to Sunday for more information about the Turner and Pixie conversation screenshot he received, and they arrange a call.
The issue I have with this is there's no story unless that person is involved. And if that person's not involved and it becomes their word against any other person's word, then that's a loss 100 times out of 100. And it's like a career-ruining loss.
What specifically would have to happen to trigger some kind of, determinate position on this in public for you?
I mean, I'll be super candid about it. Pixie would need to talk.
Yeah. Would she have to talk publicly? Or would you just have to see it?
No, I think I've already seen it. I think she needs to talk publicly because look what happened with Chud Logic and Lauren Southern. He had Melina coming to him and telling him these things directly. And he was put in a position where he can either eat shit and be hated by that community and lose a huge percentage of his audience to the point where I had to pick up the other half of the slack and help him out, right, to keep him afloat. Or he could just leak those messages and be justified immediately. Do you have any knowledge about this at all? Because if you're aware of any of this stuff, I'd be able to engage with it further. I'd have to gauge your knowledge on it because I wouldn't want to give away the fucking...
I am in the same boat as you, so maybe
so
that reassures you.
Do you have the DMs?
Do I have the DMs?
Yes, you have the DMs.
I'll tell you what, meet me halfway. Tell me the DMs with whom.
Erudite.
I have the DMs with Erudite.
Okay, so we're on the same page, I guess, then.
You have the DMs with Steven.
No, I don't have those.
I have the DMs with Steven.
Do you know how this... tell me, how has this been resolved privately?
Vaguely. If I had to guess, I think he probably gave her somewhere between a few $100 to a few $1,000.
I think it's going to be more.
You think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be a lot more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot more.
What makes you think so?
I might hold on, pause. So if the messages have gotten to you and they've gotten to me, how have they not gotten public?
That's what I'm curious about.
Then I can candidly say I think that the rumor I've heard, I have no evidence for this, but the rumor I've heard is that he's going to pay for her law school. And if that's the case, that's way more than a couple hundred or a couple thousand.
That would be, yeah.
That's where we're entering like Epstein conspiracy. This is like some crazy fucking. This is insane if that's the case.
It is.
By 5:48 p.m., Sunday is excited to share a serious, good development. Essentially, the final piece of the puzzle. A conversation with Nick Diorio that Sunday believes will justify running with the story he is still making up in his head. 5:28 p.m., Straighter 8 says she can't bring up anything to Pixie at this point because Pixie has stopped replying to her. 6:53 a.m., President Sunday says he's received the Pixie Erudite message scroll from a redacted third party and asks if Straighter 8 sent the messages to anybody else. 6:56 p.m., Straighter 8 confirms she did, and they try to work out who else might have access to the Erudite Pixie combo leak. 11:10 p.m., Sunday asks Straighter 8 if she's been talking to Destiny throughout this, and she says she has. 11:11 p.m., Sunday asks what they talked about, and Straighter 8 responds that Destiny told her about Pixie's suicidality. Straighter 8 told Destiny he should offer Pixie compensation. Pixie told her that Pixie and Destiny had talked from there, but the convo broke down. 11:28 p.m., Straighter 8 and Sunday's conversation continues outside of the shared DMs, where Sunday accuses Straighter 8 of trying to find a mole, and discovers that Straighter 8 suggested Destiny pay for Pixie's law school. 11:28 p.m., Straighter 8 says she made the law school suggestion and relays what she told Steven about Pixie's money issues, noting specifically that she's not consulted her therapist and that therapy bills or payment to assist with law school would be helpful. I felt overwhelmed being one of I don't know how many people she let into a limited support network. The suicidal threats worried me because she kept saying it was contingent on her parents finding out, not the general public. 11:30 p.m., Sunday's final message, in Beckett's video, do you understand that this is being seen as you assisting in blackmailing someone? 11:53 p.m., Straighter 8 tells Sunday, if she did that, it would be incredibly misleading. She's wanted an incredible amount of money from the start, and I have repeatedly but gently told her that she will not get the sum she wants. There is no legal basis for her getting a $1 million payout, which she repeatedly discussed with me. Sunday spends the next 4 days in a frantic race to publish this harebrained and completely unevidenced theory that Pixie is engaging in blackmail against Destiny, and for some reason, making a video accusing her of blackmail will somehow bring about the end of Destiny's career.
On January 17th, 2025, President Sunday messaged me, asking if I'd like to work on a secret project. He teased that it was something related to Destiny, who was in the midst of a looming scandal about him non-consensually sharing pornography of some of his sexual partners. This was a topic I had been keeping a close eye on since the SoloTinyLeaks Kiwi Farms post at the end of November. I was honestly pretty disturbed by the situation. Even with just the leaks to go off of and nothing else, I felt like I knew for a fact that Destiny did something seriously fucked up. And I routinely made half-serious comments in ChadLogic's spicy chat about waiting for Stephen Bonnell to be arrested. So needless to say, I was pretty excited at the opportunity to work on a project that was related to Destiny at the time, especially given the fact that Sunday had teased having some kind of a nuke.
He reaches out to his editor Kilo to begin work on a video about the Destiny leaks. Beckett and Sunday call Kilo together and drag him into an over 4-hour-long call about the projects they're planning to release.
On Saturday the 18th, Beckett of Krabs, myself, and President Sunday sat down to present evidence, put together a timeline, and establish what the mission of the project was. I was a little anxious, but also excited to learn what President Sunday had, and I wanted to find out what the justification was for coming out with the story. The nuke.
The nuke.
But we started the meeting, and after only about 10 minutes, I interjected. Sunday didn't have a nuke. I'm not even sure Beckett had much of anything. And the only real reason for publishing that was given to me was that because Pixie was supposedly trying to extort Destiny, she was somehow implicated in the cover-up efforts by Destiny and his associates, and therefore had forsaken her right to privacy, or something like that.
Nope.
I don't know. It didn't really make sense to me. All I remember is both Beckett and President Sunday convincing me to keep working and echoing some form of this extortion argument. After a little bit of debate, I recall saying, "I'm not sure about this, but let's just keep looking at evidence." I don't want to overstate how much I disagreed with the project.
Oh, no, you don't.
I obviously made the video, and when Sunday would check in on me during editing to make sure I was still good with everything, I did reluctantly tell him I was fine, but I was also pretty stressed and rushed and a little conflicted. I mean, I was his main editor at the time, and he was technically my boss.
So there's a power
If I don't make the
imbalance, you
video, am I risking my professional relationship with him?
I actually very explicitly told him, very explicitly, if there's anything, if you're not happy with any of this, you're fine. Your job is not affected at all. At all. At no point have I ever even allowed the misunderstanding to take place that his job would be impacted if he disagreed with me. I did remove his editor perms after a conversation. There's a very specific reason for that we'll get into. But even then, like I flatly said, like, look, this isn't permanent. This is really sensitive right now, and we're gonna address this later. We just need to like figure out like how we see eye to eye on certain things. And there's reasons for this. Very good reasons, which you will see.
The final plan is to have Sunday put out a more stylized video essay explanatory video, and then raid into Beckett's more journalistic Just the Facts video going over Sunday's evidence. The point of this is to do what's called information laundering, an unethical type of journalistic metagaming where instead of researching and reporting facts, you report on the reporting of a fact that may or may not have been researched. By establishing their launch this way, Sunday was allowed to air his raw, unevidenced speculations against Pixie and have Beckett launder the reporting by adding an air of credibility to it, regardless of the fact that Beckett is literally just narrating DMs he never verified. Actually, he doesn't even narrate them. Half the time he's just saying shit off the top of his head, which I know because Sunday said Beckett never put a script together. He didn't have time.
I send Kilo the recording, and he gets to work. I send Kilo the assets. The scroll, the scroll of the conversation with Pixie and Kyla, relevant screenshots, video clips, all that stuff. It's the first time I used Discord Nitro, so I could actually upload things at scale. And Beckett gets his video done fairly quickly, largely because he's narrating over the clips. He doesn't have a script; he's just going over it. And Kilo's an artiste. Kilo's taking his time.
Sunday probably didn't either, which would explain the ChatGPT feel of the writing in the video that eventually released. Around 10:51 p.m., January 18th, 2025, Beckett reaches out to Diorio after some arguing with Sunday over whether or not to tell Diorio he'd been secretly recorded and was about to be a main character in Sunday's video, releasing early the next morning.
I made him phone you. I want that on record. I made him phone you.
He did not make me phone. He did not make me phone you. We had a conversation. We deliberated for a long time. And I also wanted on record, since you're doing that, you dickhead, but you conceded to me by the end of it. Look, we are launching 2 videos tomorrow morning.
Oh no.
And guess who's coming along for the ride?
Who?
Well, if he was German, one speculates his name might be something like Christoph der Snickerdoodle.
Wait, Kraut? Oh no. Oh, hold on, wait. I'm. No, I don't know. I guess Kraut. I don't. Who's?
I said, if he was German, his name might be Christoph der Snickerdoodle.
I'm not getting
No?
it.
All right.
You want to?
No, not want. I'm not dragging him in. Kind of am, but I'm also kind of not. Look, I deliberated about it hard. I got to reference our conversation tomorrow. It's a public interest thing. It lays bare the issue. I put you in a positive light. You were the person I'm burning the least, but you were, frankly, a lot more honest than you had to be. Probably more than you should have been. And I appreciated that. So I figured I'd rather just not be a rude whatever. Whether you care or not, it just seemed respectful to give you a warning.
Okay.
Beckett makes edits to the Destiny Nuke Google Doc a couple hours later at 1:18 a.m. on January 19th.
Okay, so there's like 2 things I want to say here. First thing, I've been really open about this. Sunday came to me on the 17th. He said, for a multitude of reasons, this needs to go live. I've got everything. I sat down and went through it with him while I picked through Kiwi Farms' own evidence and stuff as he started putting his stuff together. He suggested doing a stream, then I could go over all the evidence that he'd hand me, that I was had outstanding stuff. And by the Sunday, I just went, this needs to be a video. It needs to be uneditorialized, largely because of the op chat. I was like, you're just fucking right. It needs something else. I'm obviously not fucking colluding with him.
So here's the script here. And over here is a record of previous versions. And you will notice something about them. Going back to the 18th.
He'll eventually deny working on this with Sunday and make arguments that they were different videos put together on their own, but that's about as accurate as saying a movie and its DVD commentary are two different films. At the center of the story that him and Sunday basically co-wrote together and was based on all the same information. He used a single source in his reporting, which was...
It's it's just restating things that are just not true, hoping that if you repeat it enough, it becomes true. I'm certain it would have been salacious as fuck if you co-wrote it with Sunday, but that's not the reality of the situation.
At 6:47 p.m., Bad Empanada manages to beat President Sunday to the punch by putting out an unironically better researched and more accurate video, despite not having been in DMs with the revenge porn leaker literally 2 months before. President Sunday reacts poorly to this and spends the rest of the night and most of the next morning harassing Kilo to get the video done in time to raid into Beckett's video.
This is at what time is this at? This has to be at midnight. I had to remind look, it doesn't need to be perfect, we just need to get this out there. We're not making an art piece, right? I wasn't rushing him to make him make a decision. I was rushing him because we were late. We were late because Beckett's video was already up and timed, and they were not in a position to reschedule it. So it was down to us. I was expecting us to be finished first. He's been going over and over again. He's added clips to it that I had to tell him, hey, we don't need this. Don't add this. He's found things I'm not even aware of. I'm pressuring him, quote unquote, in the sense of asking, hey, how are we doing? We almost there? We there? Because it's dude, we're running out of time here.
Understand, he's been beaten, and maybe he wants to cycle in by the time the live streamers are getting their Monday coverage together, but really, it's the fact that his video doesn't work at all if he doesn't have Beckett to raid into. Remember, he has one source, Straight Raid, and her unverified statements about Pixie's motivations. Even Nick DiOrio's assessment of the situation with Pixie is based solely on third and even fourth-hand information. It's nothing but speculation, but Sunday wants to run with it. And in order to do that, he has to have Beckett trick their combined audiences and the rest of the commentary pea-brains that there's more evidence than actually exists. And it bears repeating again that even the evidence they present doesn't actually say what they think it says.
In this video, I'm going to tell you a story about a man. It's a story that has been replicated over.
On January 20th at 8:30 a.m., President Sunday releases Exposing the Destiny Abuse Machine and raids into the 8:58 a.m. premiere of Beckett's Destiny Predator Unmasked on the Cope and Seath channel.
Those of you who have been following Destiny in his orbit for a while may have started to notice
Destiny has been sharing intimate private messages, nude images, and pornographic videos with a 19-year-old OnlyFans creator called Rose, who he was sexually interested in at the time. Rose leaked these to a Discord and Kiwi Farms user called SoloTinyLeaks, who may, for all we know, be Rose herself, who then published them to Discord and to Kiwi Farms. In addition to these leaks, which not only severely compromised Lauren Southern's career and personal life, but also established that Destiny was lying when he accused his wife of being delusional and controlling about the affair, SoloTinyLeaks also published a massive dump of revenge pornography. This recently culminated on November 29th of 2024, when an anonymous Discord and Kiwi Farms user going by the name SoloTinyLeaks published a large repository of private messages and pornographic images and videos of Destiny with various men and women to Discord and Kiwi Farms, recordings that Destiny had shared to strangers without the consent of the people in them.
Pixie does likely have a legal route open to her, and provides further information which StraighterAid is to pass on to Pixie for her to consider. Sunday would then go on to ask whether there have been further conversations between Pixie and Kyla that he's not aware of, or between Pixie and Steven. These DMs, to put it simply, are Pixie confronting Steven and saying that she was going to write a note, making it clear what happened and what her feelings were, while emphasizing Steven's contribution to her current state of mind. Destiny then goes on to reassure her that she has a lot of life ahead of her, and that these leaks would pass given time. Finally, Destiny makes an offer that if she requires any help with any bills or anything, then to let him know so he can provide assistance, and it's one less thing for her to concern herself with. StraighterAid goes on to share some DMs from Pixie in which she laments the difficulty a legal case would present, at one point suggesting that in frustration she may get the same lawyer who works for Kiwi Farms.
But it turns out that Not So Erudite was telling the truth when she said she was communicating on behalf of the victims, because as it turns out, she was from very early on the primary middleman negotiating the price of their silence. Enter Pixie. Pixie is a tiny streamer who, like Destiny's wife Melina, was visually identifiable in the leaks. Pixie had been working closely with Destiny since she turned 20 years old in 2019, and in addition to appearing on stream together regularly, Destiny also got her involved in paid positions organizing for canvassing projects, like with Progressive Victory, who he partnered with in 2024, and she would accompany him multiple times to large podcast appearances such as the Whatever podcast, which he would pay for her to be flown out to. Pixie had, for a very long time, repeatedly tried to present herself as an example of a woman who could succeed as a part of Destiny's orbit without being a member of his oft-rumored harem of women who offer him sexual favors in exchange for exposure and stream time. In light of these leaks, that image has obviously been shattered, and she has received the brunt of negative reactions to the scandal, since people who hate Destiny and hate the politics of the people in his group are eager to laugh at the hypocrisy of one of them, even if it means joining in the mass harassment of someone who is in fact a victim of revenge porn. Unfortunately, Pixie did the worst thing that someone in her position could do. Rather than seek legal recourse or make a public statement denouncing the violation of her consent and dignity that these leaks represented, she seems to have ultimately chosen to try and profit from the situation by extorting Destiny. In an exchange that I have learned has since been circulated among the entire commentary community on YouTube and virtually everyone in Destiny's circle, Not So Erudite can be seen haggling with Pixie over the amount of money that would be appropriate for Destiny to pay her to not involve the court system or to denounce him publicly. First, Pixie uses the implicit threat of her impending suicide and a scheduled note announcing it to pressure Destiny to pay out a significant sum of money, and then later switches to vague threats of public denunciations and legal action. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, her friend StraighterAid was colluding to advise Destiny to offer to help her financially as penance to stave off her threats of self-harm. A situation that would obviously be a reputational disaster for Destiny. Note, StraighterAid has also explicitly said that she did not consider the situation serious enough to warrant a wellness check. As revealed in earlier DMs between Pixie and Destiny prior to this conversation with Not So Erudite, Pixie and her friend StraighterAid had used the specter of her impending suicide to alarm Destiny enough that he would be receptive to suggestions of financial compensation. Apparently, Pixie was hopeful from the beginning that she could get as much as a $1 million payout from Destiny, which StraighterAid had to repeatedly talk her down from. The condition of this financial compensation is, of course, Pixie's continued silence. This would seem to imply that Pixie's decision to not go public is not because she is afraid of the repercussions, or else she wouldn't be threatening Destiny directly with legal action or public denunciations, but because she wants to profit personally off of extorting Destiny, who also, it must be remembered, is a victim of revenge porn. Destiny may be the one responsible for the leaker having the images in the first place, but he shared them recklessly, not maliciously. And of course, he has endured public humiliation as well for this. Destiny's close friend and podcast co-host Dan Saltman, the CEO of Redact, had also reportedly gone behind Destiny's back to advise Pixie to make financial demands of Destiny, as well as to ask her to dissuade Destiny from taking legal action against Kiwi Farms for hosting the leaks. Pixie has since said nothing publicly. There has been no evidence of legal proceedings being pursued, and she has seemingly ceased communications with the people she was previously working with, instead posting on X about taking the LSAT in pursuit of law school. It appears as though her attempt to extort Destiny has probably paid off, albeit at the expense of every other person Destiny has victimized in the past and will victimize in the future.
The videos are phenomenal failures in every way and continue to outdo themselves to this day. Pixie releases the statement she was already going to release at 11:45 a.m., humiliating President Sunday just hours after the release of the video I earnestly believe he thought would be the one to help him break through to the big leagues. At 1:50 p.m., I go live with my, now retitled, live stream, President Sunday self-destructs and failed libelous hit piece, and pick apart his god-awful work.
Pixie has since...
He said that real confident. The only thing he has evidence of that, the only thing he has for evidence of that is just literally StraighterAid saying that it happened and she wasn't there. StraighterAid remembering what Pixie told her. Sunday just repeated as the factual fucking truth. Maybe it is the truth, but that is not proof whatsoever. Uncited. Just, yeah, Dan Saltman showed up and he did these things. We got no evidence for it. None. What do you mean no evidence? Someone talked to someone else who was there. Okay. We're 2 impressions behind. What did Dan Saltman say when he went and talked? I didn't do that. I told her she should talk to a lawyer and that she shouldn't do anything that's going to draw more attention to the issue if she doesn't want more attention drawn to the issue. Okay? Yeah, bring a specific number also. I don't realize at the time that this would actually be me taking the first shots in a war Beckett and the rest of his small commentary contemporaries would soon begin to wage against my channel because of things I noticed about them, but we'll get to that.
17-year-olds are not kids. I know.
Beckett, Sunday, Destiny, Diorio, every notable DGG orbiter, and probably a ton of people I missed, spend the rest of the 20th miserably sweeping for themselves, fighting online over the myriad of things Beckett and Sunday did or said that were factually or ethically incorrect, and generally trying to make sense of possibly the worst introduction to the facts at hand that could have been provided for mainstream audiences.
Okay, so if Steven sexually predated on someone, does that make him a sexual predator?
I'm not going with your fucking gay ass lame fucking layman.
No one is Destiny. No one is Destiny.
Okay.
But Vosh is a pedophile. But Vosh is a pedophile, though. Vosh and Food Shop's are pedophiles. He'll use... Dude, this is hilarious, dude. You want the legal definition of sexual predator for Destiny, but when Food Shops watches Lolly, it's not the clinical definition of pedophile, it's just, you're a pedophile. That's interesting, isn't it, Connor? That's interesting. When it's Destiny, it's a completely different set of standards.
I was listening to a Queeman stream the other day, and I heard Queeman in a very calm voice say, if you're jerking off to cartoon children, there's a higher than average chance that you probably have proclivities that are antisocial and you might be a pedophile.
Yep. 100%.
I heard that from Queeman.
Yeah, I wouldn't state it as fact, though. I wouldn't use it as my definition of pedophile does not encompass just people who say they look at Lolly.
Worst of all, Sunday and Beckett's libel of Pixie put her into a position where she was forced to come out and correct the record, a fact Destiny has since used against Pixie to say she hasn't done due diligence on her own in mitigating the further spread of information surrounding her leaks. Quite literally, the only actual winner on January 20th, 2025 was SoloTinyLeaks, who made his final post to date on Kiwi Farms the minute after Destiny posted his response to Reddit, a single YouTube link to Light Yagami's victory speech from Death Note.
All the people who have said shit about me involved in this story, Tyler is at a specific point where in fact, Tyler is the only person who managed to annoy me in this. Only fucking one.
And because you care about this topic so much, I know that you're going to dedicate the next
Fuck
few months
that,
of your
dude.
lives in order to do.
Beckett and President Sunday's videos were such resounding failures on both an ethical and technical level that they and their friends in the commentary community switched to full-time defense of Sunday and Beckett.
I'm obviously not fucking colluding with him. Look at the fucking fight that's happened over the next stuff. I clearly fucking strongly disagree with him and have continued to do so.
But our philosophy, or our approach to this was, we're independent. We're going to coordinate our releases, we're going to consult with each other, but fundamentally, our videos are our own products. We are in full control of them. So whatever failings are in my video don't belong to Beckett, whatever failings are in Beckett's video don't belong to me, and so on and so forth.
There is no other reason to present the information this way. And by the way, Sunday, sharing non-consensual pornography
There's
is
no other way to present the information. Other reason to present this information. What? Dude, there obviously is. There obviously is.
Humiliation as well for this.
He wanted you to be thinking, man, Pixie, that is fucked up for you to try to profit off of someone else who was also a victim.
It's so, oh, this is so fucked up that you're profiting off him as a victim. It's just fucked up that you're going to stay silent at the expense of future victims. It's not about Destiny being a victim. It's about Pixie behaving in a self-interested way in the situation that will lead to continued abuse.
Beckett in particular workshops a number of excuses over the following weeks to explain his and Sunday's behavior, most of which boiled down to dressing up Pixie as a fitting human sacrifice to take down Destiny.
There are some people who deeply care about the victims. There are other people who frankly just have axes to grind. Okay?
or skins to save. By the second week of January, let's say, if I'm timelining this correctly, these had started spreading around. By the third week of January, everyone suddenly started to fucking realize. So it's not like, oh my god, everyone's kept this secret for ages. It's exactly the opposite. And again, no one wanted to do anything because they were all fucking terrified of Backlash or whatever. Can anyone tell me if there was ever anything leaked showing Pixie asked for money? Because all I saw were messages that friends saying that Pixie wanted, and that isn't evidence to me. Pixie described this as the wanting it to be the most expensive mistake of Destiny's life. I don't know whether I don't know the behind the scenes of that, but yes, Pixie mentioned money. It's also relevant. The fucking letter. People seem to do these hierarchies of bad things can be bad, and that's okay. You don't need a perfect victim for every situation. Okay? Pixie's got the legal fund support she deserves. I hope it works for her.
The fact Destiny has chosen to start using the conspiracy theories Beckett pushed in order to exonerate himself instead speaks to the worthlessness of those excuses. At the time, I found Beckett's participation in the video to be a grievous personal error, but what really got me to start laying into him was his absolute refusal to take responsibility for his behavior outside empty apologies. I had been friendly with Beckett and other small creators in his circle for just under half a year in January of 2025, actually having fallen in with him and the others after they started reaching out to me when I permanently broke ties with President Sunday in August of 2024, that being over his attempts to muddy the victim statement of a young man victimized by another leftist creator named Demon Mama, with whom President Sunday had a long-standing professional relationship. Beckett's sweeping and obfuscation around his and Sunday's behavior after the January 20th releases immediately reminded me of Sunday sweeping for Demon Mama and her partner Doe, with whom Sunday had a long-standing personal friendship. When I called out this behavior, Beckett and his friends tried to destroy my career, but that story is too long and didn't make the cut for this video.
Bro, I don't get this. I told you this wigger was weird, man. I fucking told you. And you didn't listen. And you didn't fucking listen, Beckett. This is what happens. You need to listen to me when I say wiggers are weird.
You're really using that one liberally on.
Suffice to say, the 2 months following the release of the January 20th videos were fairly hectic. I broke off contact with those people and any supporters they had near sensitive areas of my operation as a security measure. They took losing that access very poorly, lied and cried about me, and ironically put more effort into researching me for dirt than any of them ever did into researching Destiny's crimes or their libelous statements about Pixie. Sunday's channel was deservedly demonetized in March for issues unrelated to these videos, and that's pretty much the only good news I can leave you with. I have no great hope whatsoever that anything will change in the commentary community over this, or that Destiny would suffer any long-term repercussions from this video, even if it got 1 billion views. It's just that none of this lying and sweeping for sex crimes and for men who make videos libeling victims of sex crimes sits right with me. Until next time, as always, stay safe out there.